Many in the south and east have been dealing with scorching temperatures and high moisture and high heat indices, but we've been bombarded with this stat. So what is a heat index? I'll talk more about that in this episode of The Weather Hit. You may have seen me or other meteorologists talk about the heat index.
The heat index, yeah.
But before we get into explaining what that is, let's talk about what the temperature is first. Now, temperature can be defined as the degree of hotness or coldness of a substance measured by a thermometer, and also the measure of the average speed or kinetic energy of the atoms and molecules in a substance, and this substance being the air, the atmosphere. But does 93 degrees in a dry desert equate to humans to 93 degrees in August in Starkville, Mississippi? To us humans, especially if you've been around many places, the answer is no. In 1990, Lance Rothfuss, I hope I pronounced that correctly, of the Scientific Services Division of the National Weather Service created a technical document describing the equation for the heat index. Now, Rothfuss described the parameters that were a result of biometeorological studies, but they were given assumed magnitudes, such as the internal body temperature being 98.6 degrees, the person is walking at 3.1 miles per hour, the person is wearing long sleeve pants and short sleeve shirts, and assumes, this is crucial, assumes that the person is in the shade. Now, if you want to read the actual technical document, I found the link to it, and I'll place it in the video description. But through a multiple linear regression analysis, But through a multiple linear regression analysis, the equation was determined right here. You see all this? Yeah, that's the equation right there, all of this. But if you're afraid of math, you usually have to punch in two variables. That's the temperature and the relative humidity in percent. And voila, the heat index. For instance, if it's 75 degrees with a humidity, relative humidity of 95%, the heat index is actually 77 degrees. Not too bad, I guess. But if it's 95 degrees with a relative humidity of 65%, I hope you are indoors because it feels like to us 118 degrees. But there are a few meteorologists out there that would argue that there's a better number, a better index to look at. This one is called the wet bulb globe temperature. According to the National Weather Service, it is measured in the sun, not in the shade like the heat index. And it also considers the wind speed, cloud cover, and the sun angle. They also say that the military, OSHA, and even other countries use this figure. It's also used for athletic practice and play. Makes sense, especially if you be on the heat all the time. But what are the ranges? A number in the lower to mid 80s means that your body will be stressed in about 45 minutes. With a wet bulb globe temperature at 90 degrees or greater, your body will become stressed after 15 minutes of work or athletic practice. The greater the number, the more and longer breaks you will need to prevent heat exhaustion or even worse, heat stroke. So to recap, the heat index is a way to measure how hot it feels based on assumed constants as well as variables such as relative humidity and temperature. But the heat index only takes into consideration that that person is sitting in the shade. But to throw shade on that, the wet bulb globe temperature does factor exposure to the sun as well as a few more variables compared to, say, the heat index. That's all I have for today. Stay cool and stay safe, everybody. Be sure to like it if you thought it was good and useful. Be sure to dislike it if you thought this was absolute rubbish. Leave a comment, subscribe, do all the other jazz, and I hope to see you back here again.